Parallel ninja worlds collide, Empire vs Altered Konoha. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 61. Complete Susanoo. Orochimaru is stunned. The gold burial was actually forcibly broken open. Ito 10-meter-high Raza stood on the tree, looking at the blue giant opposite with a stern expression. Over 20 meters high. The huge eyes on the ferocious face shone like searchlights. The blue giant, which only had half of its body, was originally just a skeleton. However, now, the flesh and blood in the form of chakra are rapidly condensing on the skeleton's bones. Soon, Susanoo, with a complete upper body, appeared in the sea of trees. Susanoo. Orochimaru, who was hiding in the dark, saw the terrifying blue giant with the help of Ito 10-meter Raza's vision. At this moment, Orochimaru felt a burst of heat in his heart. This is Susanoo. This is the real Susanoo. In the legend, the power that Uchiha Madara used to compete with the wood style of the first Hokage. The divine power of the Uchiha clan, Susanoo. It was actually with pure power that the gold burial was forcibly opened. Orochimaru's greedy expression was almost completely unconcealed. Is this the power of Susanoo? It's so powerful that people envy it. In the sea of trees, Uchiha Obito looked at the Edo Tensei standing still on the tree opposite. Hey, your strength should not be just this level, right? Uchiha Obito provoked, one of the so-called 5 shadows in the ninja world. Is it only this strength? He has only opened the second form of Susanoo now. There is still a lot of strength that has not been exerted. Don't get me wrong. Edo Tensei was silent for a moment, waved his hand suddenly, and opened several scrolls again. Just now I was just a little surprised. I didn't expect that the divine power of the Uchiha clan could reappear in the ninja world. Boom. As several scrolls were opened together, golden sand fluttered in the sky, flying in this endless sea of trees. A large amount of golden sand wrapped around Edo Tensei's body 973. The real battle is just about to begin. The Edo Tensei Raza waved his arms, controlling the large amount of gold sand around him. The unknown Uchiha on the opposite side. I, Orochimaru, will definitely take his body. As for Uchiha Sasuke? He's just a kid. If I can get the body of this guy on the opposite side, why do I need to worry about a mere Uchiha Sasuke? After getting this body, I will go directly to Uchiha Itachi to fight. Magnet style. The Edo Tensei Raza controlled the large amount of gold sand around him, gathered and compressed it into the shape of a spear, golden sand spear. The heavy gold sand, controlled by magnet style, was compressed into an indestructible spear and quickly stabbed at the blue giant on the opposite side. This level of magnet style utilization. Uchiha Obito shook his head and said disdainfully, how superficial. He can only use magnet style to simply manipulate metal and form various physical forms to attack the enemy. This fourth Kazekage Raza is illiterate at first glance. He has not been able to use magnet style at all. Style's potential. While speaking, on the opposite side, the fierce gold dust spear has arrived in front. Uchiha Obito shouted, controlling the blue Susanoo giant, raised his hand, and directly grabbed the fierce gold dust spear by force. Bang! The blue giant, the gold dust spear hit the ground and retreated slightly. But that's all. The extremely heavy gold dust spear can no longer make Susanoo retreat a step further. You are worthy of the power of God, Susanoo. Edo World Ra Sand Shinobi couldn't help but admire, but what about this move? Magnet style, gold dust cube. Under the control of magnet style, a large amount of gold sand around gathered together to form a huge cube of several meters in size. Immediately afterwards, under the control of Edo World Ra Sand, this huge cube, with its terrifying weight, directly bombarded the blue giant on the opposite side. Bang! A dull collision sound. Under the bombardment of this gold cube formed by the Edo Tensei Raza mobilizing almost all of the gold. Even Uchiha Obito's second form Susanoo was still knocked back. Crack! The blue giant was pushed back in the sea of trees by the huge gold cube, and a large number of towering trees were broken. This power is pretty good. Obito tried hard to control Susanoo to stop the retreat, but he was a little powerless. I'm afraid this move is difficult to deal with even the power of the tailed beast level. Using the second form of Susanoo to deal with this move. It's really a bit of a stretch. Up. Orochimaru, hiding in the dark, couldn't help but smile. This move should be the strongest move that the Edo Tensei Raza can perform. With this power, the Raza in his lifetime could even suppress the runaway one-tail Shikaku. Susanoo. Mangekyo Sharingan. Orochimaru's eyes were hot. That perfect body will be mine soon. In the sea of trees. It seems that I underestimated you before. Uchiha Obito was still relaxed. After all, you are one of the 5 Kage in the ninja world. It is indeed a bit arrogant to want to defeat you with only the current level of power. Orochimaru suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. Only relying on this level of power? Does he have a stronger power that he has not yet exerted? Didn't you just say that you were surprised to see Uchiha's divine power again? The Mangekyo in Uchiha Obito's eyes suddenly froze, and in an instant, the terrifying pupil power was released. Well, now let you, the wind shadow, see why Susanoo is called the power of God. Boom. The terrifying Sharingan pupil power and a large amount of chakra burst out from Daisheng's body. Susanoo, who was originally in the second form, began to grow rapidly. Directly skipped the third and fourth forms of Susanoo and evolved towards the form of the complete form of Susanoo. 20 meters. 40 meters. 60 meters. In a flash, the blue giant that was originally hidden in the sea of trees grew legs and stood up. His height had far exceeded the height of the sea of trees. Boiling chakra formed a terrifying giant over 100 meters tall. You inhuman Kazekage, look at me clearly. Uchiha Obito sneered. Now, this is the real Susanoo. Full form Susanoo. His talent in Sharingan has been recognized by His Majesty. With the blessing of the Empire's chakra fusion technology and cloning Mangekyo technology, he has reached the ultimate on the road to Sharingan. In the endless yellow sand of the Wind Country. In the center of the sea of trees covering the ancient city of Lulan, a terrifying giant over 100 meters tall, the boiling chakra around his body gradually stabilized. The terrifying blue giant, the facial contour gradually became clear. The ferocious face of Crow Tengu. 2 chakra-long swords on the waist. A pair of huge wings grew behind. In the sea of trees, Edo Raza desperately raised his head, and through the branches and leaves above, he vaguely saw the terrifying blue-eyed man. The whole body is blue, purely composed of a large amount of chakra with Eternal, the terrifying giant created by Mangekyo's pupil power. At this moment, under the sun's shining, this blue giant shines with brilliance. Like a god descending from heaven. Orochimaru, hiding in the dark, was completely stunned to the point of losing consciousness when he saw this scene. What did that guy say just now? The real Susanoo? This is the real Susanoo called the power of God? Even if he saw this level of power from afar through the vision of the Edo Tensei Raza, he still felt his body and soul trembling. Is this really a power that humans can master? Kalala. Uchiha Obito controlled the perfect Susanoo and slowly pulled out the chakra-long sword at his waist. Come on, Kazekage. Uchiha Obito said in a deep voice, fight, continue. Edo Tensei Raza said nothing. In other words, this is the body of an impure world reincarnation. If it were a living person, he would be sweating coldly now. What the hell is he still doing? How else can he fight? Hitting with his head? The move of the gold cube just now is almost the strongest move that Edo Tensei Raza can use. Result. The opponent is now breaking through again. I suggest you defend yourself immediately. Uchiha Obito looked down and controlled Susanoo, slowly raised the dozens of meters long chakra sword, and aimed it at Edo Tensei Raza in the sea of trees below. It is difficult to master the power of stepping over ants without hurting them. It is said that this sentence was said by His Majesty to the old-time shadows who joined hands in the War of Unification in the past. I didn't expect that I would have the opportunity to say this sentence to show off. And below. Edo Tensei Raza didn't think that the other party was showing off at all. Orochimaru asked himself, if his real body was here, he would definitely die if such a terrifying sword was chopped down. Triple Rashomon? The defense is not strong enough. However, Orochimaru couldn't help but wipe the sweat from his forehead with some relief. Fortunately, he didn't go directly with his real body. Instead, he controlled Raza to go there. Anyway, Raza was in the form of impure world reincarnation. Infinite chakra, immortal body. Even if he was chopped once, it wouldn't matter. Moreover, maybe, he would have a chance to rely on Raza's immortal body and infinite chakra to exhaust the mysterious Uchiha, and then defeat him and get his body. Thinking like this, Orochimaru remotely controlled the Edo Tensei Raza, gathered all the gold dust, and protected it above the Edo Tensei Raza. A huge amount of gold dust formed an extremely dense shield. Boom. Above. The dozens of meters long chakra sword suddenly swung down and directly chopped on the gold dust defense. Endless gold dust splashed everywhere. Crack. The terrifying sword, the slashing wave formed, slammed into the boundless sea of trees. The earth cracked directly, and a large number of towering trees were easily torn apart. Uchiha Obito's eyes suddenly became a little vague. It should not be dead, right? The complete Susanoo chopped down with a sword. This force is really hard to grasp. The words he just imitated His Majesty said were not completely pretentious. He really wasn't sure whether the inhuman Kazekage would be killed by a single blow. It shouldn't be. Uchiha Obito shook his head and said in a self-hypnosis, after all, he is one of the 5 shadows in this ninja world. He should be able to save his life. Below. The golden sand defense gathered in the air. A large amount of extremely densely compressed golden sand slowly fell to the ground. A terrifying crack completely tore the golden sand defense apart. And in this crack, there were a lot of strange confetti flying. Huh? Obito's face suddenly changed. This looks like it could be the ninjutsu of the naturally evil Senju Old Ghost? Impure World Reincarnation. He still knows this. After the body of the Impure World Ninja is blown up, the body will be scattered like a lot of confetti. And now, what is going on below? Obito stood in the crystal of the head of the perfect Susanoo and couldn't help scratching his head. He was a little confused about the situation. That inhuman Kazekage couldn't be a dead person summoned by the Impure World Reincarnation, right? Gaara's children, their inhuman father, could it be that he died at some point? Below. The flying confetti slowly condensed into a human form. The appearance of the Impure World Reincarnation that had just been blown up gradually emerged. It's really Impure World Reincarnation? Obito was completely confused. What the hell is going on? How did that inhuman Kazekage die? When did he die? And he was even brought out by Impure World Reincarnation after his death? Who did it? DY. The body of the Impure World Reincarnation condensed again, and looked up at the terrifying blue giant. It's really worthy of the power of God, the Uchiha clan. This is really an enviable power. Uchiha Obito's face changed. Who are you? Someone killed the inhuman Kazekage, and now he is controlling this impure world body. Defeat me, and you will know everything. Edo World Raza smiled and continued to control the scattered gold sand around. Orochimaru has made up his mind now. Use the characteristics of Impure World Reincarnation to kill the mysterious Uchiha. 09. Uchiha Obito snorted, just an Impure World Reincarnation, do you think I can't handle it? Said. Obito raised Susanoo's chakra long sword again, not giving Edo World Raza any chance to react, and the terrifying sword fell with the force of thunder. Boom. The defense made of gold sand exploded again. And this time, Uchiha Obito did not wait in Susanoo. Instead, he jumped out directly from the head of the perfect Susanoo, and suddenly jumped towards the flying paper below. Below. Edo World Raza's body has just condensed half. Contract seal, release. Obito slapped Raza's body with one palm, and the black spell spread over Raza's body. As the developer of the ninjutsu, the naturally evil Senju Old Ghost naturally knows the best how to deal with Impure World Reincarnation. 0.4 And Obito, before coming to this world, also studied this aspect. Now this is one of the solutions. The caster of Impure World Reincarnation will automatically form a summoning contract with the Impure World Ninja. As long as this contract is cancelled, the caster will lose control of the Impure World Ninja. At the same time, Orochimaru, who was hiding in the dark, clearly saw the face of Uchiha Obito through Raza's eyes. But the next moment, his vision was directly interrupted. X. Orochimaru looked a little surprised. My control over Raza has been cancelled? Is Impure World Reincarnation still dealt with in this way? That mysterious Uchiha, who is he? Wait, that face. Orochimaru's pupils shrank suddenly, and a large number of fragmented images kept emerging in his mind, and finally stopped at a certain memory fragment in the past. It's him. Uchiha Obito. That's Uchiha Obito's face. One of Namikaze Minato's 3 disciples. The Uchiha who died in the Battle of Kanobi Bridge. The man who gave Hatake Kakashi a Sharingan before his death. Uchiha Obito. Duh. Orochimaru's expression suddenly became a little confused. Uchiha Obito, isn't he dead? And the man just now, obviously, had 2 complete Sharingans. And even if Uchiha Obito didn't die in the Battle of Kanobi Bridge, how could he become so strong? recalling what he saw before. Orochimaru thought to himself that even 10 of him would not be enough to defeat the terrifying blue-eyed man. Oh right. There is something wrong with that forest too. Orochimaru frowned, details kept coming to his mind, dragon vein, strange forest, and someone who looks like Uchiha Obito. The answer may be hidden in these details. Episode 62, The Conspiracy of the White Fang Incident. Kakashi's Mangekyo. Hey, hey, hey. Temari looked at the terrifying giant that suddenly appeared in the sea of trees in the distance, and cold sweat fell on her forehead. Could this giant be created by that guy just now? Use this thing to fight her father? Temari felt that even if her father was the Kazekage, he might not be a match at all. Shiro Kakashi narrowed his eyes slightly. Is it the legendary Susanoo? Yes, that's right. Senju Hashirama nodded, and a trace of nostalgia appeared on his face, and it's the perfect form Susanoo. Perfect form Susanoo. What a nostalgic scene. Father, he won't be killed by that guy. Kankuro couldn't help but worry. Huh? Gaara crossed his arms and sneered. If the guy just now could kill that man, it would be good. Soon. The fighting noise in the distance disappeared. Not long after, Uchiha Obito came back here again. His face was a little strange. Where's my father? Temari was a little anxious when she saw Obito like this. You didn't really kill him, did you? Damn it. Think about it. Such a terrifying giant. If he used it to hit his father, I'm afraid there wouldn't even be a complete corpse left. Obito couldn't help scratching his head. Your father is indeed dead, but it has nothing to do with me. He really wanted to kill Luosha, the unworthy Kazekage. But he didn't have time to do it. The Kazekage, who was unworthy of being a father, had already been killed by someone else. You are lying. Kankuro's expression was immediately unbearable. It has nothing to do with you. Who would believe this? However, soon, a figure came up behind Obito. Temari, Kankuro. The Edo Tensei Raza, who had already severed the connection with the caster Orochimaru, said with a somewhat ugly expression, I am indeed dead. It was Orochimaru, that bastard, who did it. Soon. Under the explanation of the Edo Tensei Raza. What happened before was revealed. I had planned to launch the Konoha collapse plan together with Orochimaru. But he was attacked by Orochimaru, and then he Impure World Reincarnation came out, disguised as the 11th living Kazekage, secretly controlling Sunagakure. However, Orochimaru, that guy, was not dead, and controlled the Edo Tensei Raza to come here. Everyone present knew what happened next. After hearing this series of stories, Temari and Kankuro's expressions could not hold back. What is going on? The three siblings were on a mission. When he turned around, his father, who was the Kazekage, was killed by Orochimaru. That Orochimaru, he wants to join hands with you to launch the Konoha collapse plan? Senju Hashirama's expression was a little unhappy. For Konoha, even now, he still has some feelings. Even if it is the Konoha of this ninja world. Yes. Edo Tensei Raza looked a little nervous. He just realized that these guys came from Otherworld. Each one of them is as strong as a monster. Let's not talk about the guy who just blew me up. Now, the person standing in front of him is the ninja god of another world, first Hokage Senju Hashirama. In front of these people, Raza dared not get angry at all. Although I don't know what Lord Orochimaru of this world wants to do, Uchiha Obito crossed his arms and looked at Edo Tensei Raza coldly and said, but he killed you, the Kazekage who is unworthy of being his father, and this is definitely the right thing to do. Edo Tensei Raza looked at Gaara, who was looking at him coldly, and didn't dare to say anything more. Shiro Kakashi frowned and looked at Obito and Senju Hashirama. Is it possible that your existence will be exposed now? Ah. No way. Uchiha Obito scratched his head. Isn't I dead in this world? Even if he sees me, can Lord Orochimaru of this world still guess that we are from Otherworld? It shouldn't be possible, right? But Obito suddenly felt a little guilty. After all, he is Lord Orochimaru, the chief scientist of the Empire, the general leader of all scientific research departments and institutions. Even though he is Lord Orochimaru from another world, he cannot be underestimated. There is nothing we can do about it. Senju Hashirama spread his hands and said, originally, as long as we catch the opponent, we don't need to worry about being exposed. But who would have thought that Orochimaru was hiding in the dark and using Impure World Reincarnation to remotely control him? They didn't know where Orochimaru, the caster of Impure World Reincarnation, was hiding. They didn't know where to catch him even if they wanted to. That's right. Obito suddenly hammered his hand and looked at Edo Tensei Raza with excitement. Let's not talk about Lord Orochimaru first. Kakashi, your father's matter. Now the Kazekage is standing in front of you. Kakashi was slightly confused for a moment, then quickly reacted, and his eyes were shining. Yes. I wanted to investigate before. The truth about my father's mission. Was it planned from the beginning? And if I want to find out the truth about this matter, it is a good direction to investigate from the object of my father's mission, that is, Sunagakure. Hee. Uchiha Obito couldn't help but praise his own wit, and then turned around and asked Edo Tensei Raza arrogantly, "Hey, you unworthy Kazekage, tell us everything about Konoha's White Fang." TAS? Edo Tensei Raza was surprised. Suddenly turned to look at Shiro Kakashi. This guy. I'm not from the other world. Shiro Kakashi explained, I'm from this ninja world, the son of Konoha's White Fang, Hatake Kakashi. FFLX. Ito Tenraza was silent for a while, looking at Uchiha Obito and Senju Hashirama next to him. Have you joined these people from the other world? No wonder. He just felt that Uchiha Obito and Senju Hashirama, who was also an impure world body. These two people gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. But Hatake Kakashi didn't make him feel that way. It turned out to be the Kakashi of this world. That's fine. What does this have to do with you? Obito slapped Raza on the head, causing the confetti of the impure world body to fly out. Answer the question honestly. This Kazekage, who is not worthy of being a father, is now in their hands. And he is the immortal body of impure world reincarnation. Then they can do whatever they want? On the side. Temari and Kankuro saw this scene and couldn't help but want to cover their faces. Not only did their father die inexplicably, but he also had no dignity after death. On the other side, Gaara looked very pleased. He wished he could go up and hit him a few times to vent his anger. Raza had a gloomy face, but he didn't dare to show any dissatisfaction at all. The matter of Konoha's White Fang happened when I was young, when I was still the third Kazekage. It was the 41st year of the Konoha calendar. The last generation of one-tailed Jinchuriki, monk Fenfuku, is gradually getting old and his time is coming. Maybe when Fenfuku dies, Shikaku may escape when Fenfuku is at his weakest before death. In order to guard against Shikaku who may escape and run away at any time, Sunagakure specially sent people to monitor monk Fenfuku's condition day and night. In addition, the condition of Jinchuriki is the most important secret of a ninja village. The guard of Fenfuku is even stricter. However, during that time, Sand Shinobi suddenly obtained a piece of information through the spy arranged in Konoha. The information said that Konoha's White Fang was about to go to Sunagakure, and the purpose was to find out the condition of monk Fenfuku. The undercover who sent back this information also doubted the authenticity of the information. Because this information was extremely easy to obtain. It was as if someone wanted to leak it deliberately. Sunagakure didn't know whether this information was true or false. But they could only deal with it according to the truth. After all, the person who might come is not from the White Couch. During the Second Ninja World War, with a White Fang short sword, he killed through the Sand Shinobi line and killed the captain and vice-captain of the Sand Shinobi puppet army alone. If such a ruthless person comes, the Sand Shinobi must pay attention. So, the third Kazekage at that time sent me to guard the Fuku. Edo Raza looked at the familiar appearance of Shiro Kakashi and said, moreover, the third Kazekage also mobilized a large number of Sand Shinobi elite ninjas. After all, it is not certain whether Konoha's White Fang will really come, so we need to be careful. As a result, my father really went. Kakashi Shiro gritted his teeth and said. Edo Raza nodded and said. The result. You can imagine. At that time, although his strength was not at its peak. But fighting at home, plus the assistance of a large number of elite Sand Shinobi ninjas. Even Konoha's White Fang was no match. Soon. They had made preparations in advance and successfully injured and captured a Konoha shinobi. However, Konoha's White Fang is Konoha's White Fang after all. Under such an unfavorable situation, Konoha's White Fang was able to forcibly snatch back his injured teammates and successfully retreat with them. Furthermore, not long after, Sand Shinobi received the news. Konoha's White Fang actually committed suicide at home. This is indeed a conspiracy from the beginning. Uchiha Obito said angrily, Konoha's White Fang's action has not started yet, and Sand Shinobi has easily obtained information from Konoha. This kind of thing, even he can easily guess. It's obvious. Someone in Konoha deliberately leaked the information to Sand Shinobi. This mission of Konoha's White Fang was bound to fail from the beginning. The younger generation of the village actually did such a thing. Senju Hashirama was also furious. Originally, he thought that this was just that Konoha's White Fang failed in his mission, and Shimura Danzo took the opportunity to throw dirty water to attack the reputation of Shy White Fang. Although this is still very despicable, it is barely not too out of line. However, now, they found that the conspiracy of this matter was not just after the fact. Some people had arranged everything for Konoha's White Fang beforehand. Deliberately arranged a mission that was bound to fail. Take the initiative to send information. Put Konoha's White Fang in danger. And in Konoha's White, after Fangya failed in the mission, they were well prepared and immediately launched a public opinion offensive. We, Sand Shinobi, guessed it at the beginning. Edo Raza shook his head and said, this is probably a conspiracy against Konoha's White Fangya. But unexpectedly, Konoha's White Fangya did not die in the mission, but committed suicide after the mission failed. Shut up. Uchiha Obito glared and shouted, what do you have to do with this? Raza felt aggrieved. Damn it. How could he, the Kazekage, one of the 5 Kage, end up like this? Kakashi, what do you think? Obito turned to look at Kakashi Haku, and said anxiously, now the truth has come out, at least Shimura Danzo must be one of the masterminds. Tell me, how do we kill them? However, Kakashi Haku didn't answer. Instead, his eyes were dull, and he was lost in memories. Before the time when his father was summoned back from the Pure Land Vice Admiral. At that time, after Obito and the first Hokage left, he asked his father some questions alone. Kakashi wanted to know why his father committed suicide and what he was thinking before he committed suicide. I don't know what the real answer to this problem I encountered should be. The face and voice of his father appeared in Kakashi's mind, but no matter what others think, I still agree with the choice I made. I chose to save my teammates before, and if I had to do it again, I would still make the same choice. 917 Kakashi, you want to know if there is any conspiracy here, but I don't really care about it. Maybe someone is really calculating something, but for me, I am just practicing the will of fire that I agree with. Even if there may be many people who disagree with my approach, even if those who disagree with me may include senior executives, I still choose to stick to the will of fire that I agree with. But now that I think about it, I am not really selfish. I'm sorry, Kakashi, I left you like that at the beginning, without even a goodbye. I can see that your experience over the years must have been very tortuous, and this is all due to my incompetence as a father. If I could do it again, I would still choose to stick to the will of fire that I agree with. But at the same time, I should probably choose to compromise, at least for you, choose to live. I'm sorry, Kakashi. The voice and face of his father gradually drifted away in his mind. Kakashi whispered softly. I'm sorry, father. The Konoha you love, the will of fire you agree with. I'm going to betray the things you loved next. Shimura Danzo. Kakashi suddenly opened his eyes from his memories, and the scarlet light flashed in the Sharingan of his left eye. After the 3 black Magatamas spun at high speed, they suddenly froze. I'll kill you. Instantly. In Kakashi's left eye, the original 3 Magatama patterns intertwined. A black boomerang pattern suddenly appeared in Kakashi's eyes. Click. As Kakashi, the Sharingan pattern freezes. Ahead. A broken wall of the ancient city of Lulan suddenly exploded. As if it was torn apart by an invisible force, the torn bricks and stones disappeared out of thin air. Uchiha Obito on the side looked at the pattern of Kakashi by's Sharingan and was stunned. At the same time. Water Country. Kirigakure. The Uchiha Obito of this ninja world frowned, and then shook his head helplessly. Madara, what's wrong? White Zetsu next to him asked curiously. Nothing. Obito waved his hand and said, it should be that guy Kakashi. He sent some messy things into the Kamui space again. It has been like this since some time ago. He can feel the abnormality in the Kamui space from time to time. It seems that someone is constantly entering and leaving the Kamui space. Obito himself also quietly went in to check everything. As a result, a special space covering dozens of kilometers was found in the Kamui space. Even he couldn't enter it. At that time, Obito's face turned black after seeing the separated space. No, this Kamui space seems to be mine, right? How come there is a place that I can't enter myself? Kakashi, that bastard, what kind of eye technique did he awaken? Episode 63, Are you Uchiha Kakashi? Orochimaru discovers the truth. After a while, he sensed it and found that there was no new movement in the Kamui space. Uchiha Obito then activated the eye technique and put himself into the Kamui space. Soon, the void twisted in a vortex. Nothing, just a wall. Uchiha Obito shook his head and said, it should be that Kakashi is fighting with someone, or practicing the new eye technique, so he put those things into the Kamui space. What a hassle. Obito felt a headache when he thought about it. Kamui, the eye technique, can be said to be the core of his strength. In his daily battles with others, he basically uses the hollow effect of Kamui's eye technique to deal with people. And now, Kakashi, that bastard, has also awakened Mangekyo's eye technique. Now, I may have to be careful when I enter Kamui space in the future. Not to mention that Kakashi, that bastard, may send in some dangerous things, such as detonating tags. Just Kakashi himself enters Kamui space, and then accidentally bumps into me. This is enough trouble. I suggest that you take back that eye as soon as possible. Black Zetsu suggested in a low voice, in this way, it will also help improve your strength. Obito, this kid, has only one eye since the beginning of awakening Mangekyo. Now he can't open Susanoo. If he can gather both eyes, let alone the pupil technique of the other eye, both Mangekyo can open Susanoo, which is a huge improvement. Shut up. Uchiha Obito scolded coldly, I don't need to do this at all. Even if I only have one eye, fourth Mizukage is still under my control, right? Yes, yes. Black Zetsu said helplessly. Obito, this guy, has a really weird personality. He wants to get infinite Tsukuyami. But he is unwilling to take back the eye he once gave away. Speaking of the fourth Mizukage, Obito, there are many people in Kirigakure who are making small moves now. White Zetsu talked about the information he had recently obtained. The elder Yuancher of Mist Shinobi, his confidant named Ching, doesn't he have the 10 songs? They seem to be trying to let Ching contact the fourth Mizukage once recently. The intention of doing this is obvious. Want to check whether the fourth Mizukage is controlled by the illusion. Humph. Uchiha Obito snorted coldly, Yuancher, this old thing, really hates his life. That old guy is very prestigious in Kirigakure. Black Zetsu was also a little helpless, if you touch him, it will be very troublesome. After thinking about it, Black Zetsu added, in fact, there is no need to act directly against the Yuancher, as long as Ching is killed, the fact that the fourth Mizukage is controlled will not be exposed. Uchiha Obito nodded thoughtfully. By the way, how is Inman? Obito suddenly thought of the previous things and asked, how is One Tail? Has he been caught from Orochimaru? No. White Zetsu replied, Orochimaru is very cunning and can't be caught at all. Hasn't he been caught yet? Obito's face was a little dark, what do Nagato and the others do? There are so many people in the Akatsuki organization, and they can't even catch Orochimaru? There should be no rush for this. Black Zetsu comforted, with the full force of the Akatsuki organization, Orochimaru can't hide for too long. With White Zetsu's intelligence network. No matter where Orochimaru escapes, he can't escape the capture of the Akatsuki organization. On the other side. The Kingdom of Wind. In the ancient city of Lulan. What's wrong with me? White Kakashi covered his eyes and looked at the two people in front of him who were stunned. My eyes are so sore. It's more painful than watching the intimate paradise for a whole night. But it seems that the pupil power of my left eye has become much stronger. You, Kakashi, your eyes. Obito stuttered, you actually awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan? That's not right. This shouldn't be the case. Kakashi is not from the Uchiha clan. How did he awaken the Mangekyo? Why did he do that? This doesn't make sense. Senju Hashirama also scratched his head in confusion. I remember Tobirama has studied that the Uchiha clan's Sharingan advances because a special part of the brain secretes a special chakra, and then the Sharingan can advance. Hatake Kakashi, he is not from the Uchiha clan. His brain structure is naturally impossible to be the same as that of the Uchiha clan. How did he awaken the Mangekyo just now? No, it's not just this. Uchiha Obito's eyes flashed with scarlet light, and he also activated the Mangekyo Sharingan. The pattern of each person's Mangekyo Sharingan should be different. And now, Kakashi, the guy, the pattern of the Mangekyo Sharingan he just awakened is exactly the same as his own. How is this possible? According to Tobirama's research. Senju Hashirama recalled, the Mangekyo pattern awakened by the Uchiha clan should be different for each person. It is impossible for two different people to have the same Mangekyo pattern. However, your Sharingan comes from the Uchiha Daioh of this world. In that case, it may make sense that the Mangekyo patterns of the two of you are the same. Uchiha Obito was stunned when he heard this. It seems to be right. After all, it is the eyes of his own self in another world. They are both himself, both Uchiha Daioh. It makes sense that the awakened Mangekyo Sharingan has the same pattern. By the way, there is also the eye technique. Obito stared at Kakashi's left eye and asked, "What is the Mangekyo eye technique you just awakened?" As he said that, Obito looked at the broken wall in front of Kakashi's sight. This wall was broken. And it seemed that a part was missing. Uchiha Obito's face suddenly changed. Where did the missing part of the broken wall go? The eye technique seems to be called Kamui. Kakashi covered his left eye and frowned and said, "The effect of this eye technique should be to focus the line of sight on a certain place and then use it to attack, right?" Uchiha Obito's expression suddenly became wooden. It was over, and he didn't say much. Directly launched the eye technique. Walked around the Kamui space. Soon. Obito came out of the Kamui space with a torn brick in his hand. An expression of doubting life. "I just tore this." Kakashi asked curiously. ABA. Uchiha Obito felt that his brain was about to crash. Yes, but why? This shouldn't be. Sharingan is the eye of the soul. Especially the awakening of Mangekyo Sharingan. In the Empire, His Majesty has studied this. When I awakened the pupil technique, it was all under the special guidance of His Majesty. With the current technological level of the Empire, there is already a complete set of procedures for awakening the Mangekyo Sharingan. First, the most basic thing depends on one's Sharingan talent. If one's talent is strong enough, one can continuously upgrade the Sharingan to a higher level through chakra fusion technology. For example, Obito himself. He even received praise from His Majesty for his Sharingan talent. At the beginning. After Obito's Sharingan was upgraded to 3 Magatama. Through chakra fusion technology, Obito easily fused a pair of cloned Mangekyo's chakra. He upgraded his Sharingan to the level of Mangekyo. And after that, the stage of awakening the eye technique. He generated corresponding emotions in the illusion trap specially constructed by His Majesty, and then under the activation of emotions, Sharingan officially transformed and awakened the eye technique Kamui. A Mangekyo eye technique with a different space. At the beginning, after he awakened Kamui, it even caused a sensation in the Empire. Generally speaking, if you want to master a different space through eye technique bloodline, you have to be at the level of Rinnegan. And he was able to directly create a different space at the stage of Mangekyo Sharingan. At that time, many people in the Empire were envious. Especially the people of the Uchiha clan. Later, many descendants of the Uchiha clan also tried to use the illusion trap specially constructed by His Majesty for him when they awakened the Mangekyo eye technique. However, no one can reproduce the eye technique Kamui. Obito has always been proud of this. This is his own exclusive eye technique, a symbol of his talent. However, now, Kakashi, you. Obito looked at Kakashi with lifeless eyes. You, what were you thinking when you awakened the Mangekyo eye technique just now? What were you thinking? Kakashi frowned and recalled, well, at that time, I wanted to avenge my father and had the urge to cut Shimura Danzo into pieces. Then, he felt that something seemed to have changed in his left eye. I see. Senju Hashirama touched his chin and said, from an emotional point of view, it is more consistent with the Kamui technique you awakened. Perhaps, the eyes of the same person, even the same person in different worlds, may awaken the same technique? Tobirama has not studied this either. Duh. Obito looked frustrated and shook his head and said, I can ignore your technique for now, but, Kakashi, why can you awaken Mangekyo Sharingan? Could it be that, you actually have the blood of our Uchiha clan? In fact, this is not Hatake Kakashi, but Uchiha Kakashi? Don't guess blindly. Shiro Kakashi's face darkened a little. I have never heard my father say that any of my ancestors were Uchiha. But this explanation doesn't make sense. Obito pulled his hair irritably. If you are not Uchiha Kakashi, then why can your Sharingan be advanced? Sharingan advanced, is this BB from the Uchiha clan? Kakashi thought for a moment and said, at the beginning, Obito. I mean the Obito in my world, when he gave me the Sharingan, it was only a double Magatama. Obito was confused again, then you, didn't you have a 3 Tomo Sharingan before? Yes. Kakashi nodded, recalling something. His expression was a little gloomy. In the past, during the Third Ninja World War, when Rin was captured by Mist Shinobi, my Sharingan was upgraded from double Magatama to 3 Magatama. Rin? Noera Rin? Obito recalled the person he just remembered. Oh, you seem to have said before that she was your former teammate. However, in their world, he was not familiar with Noera Rin. Only knowing this person, basically no contact. Kakashi is no longer surprised by the difference between the two worlds, and said, I upgraded Sharingan from 2 Magatama to 3 Magatama that time, so, could it be that you have a misunderstanding? In fact, Sharingan advancement does not require Uchiha bloodline? Ah, this shouldn't be the case. Senju Hashirama felt a little bit unconvinced by this statement. Although he has always had opinions about Tobirama's somewhat inhumane experiments and forbidden technique research. But, at least, in terms of the rigor of scientific research, Tobirama should not make mistakes, right? Although that guy is a Senju old ghost who is born evil. Uchiha Obito also nodded in agreement, but, in terms of scientific research, I still believe in his results. Then I don't know the reason. Kakashi spread his hands and said, anyway, I should not be Uchiha Kakashi. While speaking, Kakashi suddenly panted. There was a sharp soreness in his left eye, and the chakra in his body was almost completely consumed in a short time just now. After the Sharingan is upgraded, the chakra consumption is faster. Kakashi quickly closed his eyes and covered his left eye with the Konoha Shinobi forehead protector. Isn't that enough? Aren't you a little too weak? Obito said with disdain, but it doesn't matter. After joining the Empire, the Sage Body Fusion Potion should also be available to you. Oh, by the way, there is also Sharingan Fusion Potion. Only 1 dose of the first level Sharingan Fusion Potion, then the problem of your Sharingan not being able to close will be solved. Shiro Kakashi's face was a little stiff. If this is the case, then wouldn't he really become Uchiha Kakashi? By the way, Senju Hashirama looked at Edo Tensei and Gaara and the others. How are they going to deal with it? Sunagakure's Kazekage is already dead. Hearing this, Edo Tensei instantly raised his alert. Now, I'm afraid it's time to decide their and Sunagakure's future fate. Not only that. Shiro Kakashi looked at Edo Tensei and said, money according to the current situation, except Orochimaru, no one else should know that the Kazekage is dead. So, he suddenly had a bold idea. Why not send Araza here? Obito quickly understood what the two men meant, just replace this guy and secretly control Sunagakure. In this way, one of the 5 major ninja villages in the ninja world is directly controlled by the Empire. Opposite. Raza's face instantly turned as black as the bottom of a pot. Just escaped from Orochimaru's snake nest. Now he is in the tiger's den again. The Kingdom of Wind. Under the yellow sand, a secret underground stronghold. Lord Orochimaru, the sacrifice is here. Yukushi Kabuto held a young ninja who was knocked unconscious. Haha, Kabuto, we will see the truth of the matter soon. Orochimaru licked the corner of his mouth excitedly and said. After thinking for a while before, he felt that he had guessed the truth. Now, the only thing left is the verification process. Lord Orochimaru, I still don't quite understand. Yukushi Kabuto looked at the cell tissue on the table in front of Orochimaru and asked curiously, can you verify anything by doing this? Oh gee. Orochimaru chuckled and explained, the key to the problem lies in the dragon vein. I have seen some legends in some ancient books. There have been people from other time and space who came to our time and space through the dragon vein. In the legends recorded in those ancient books, the dragon vein has the magical power to disrupt time and space. This? Rubbish. Yukushi Kabuto's pupils shrank. Traveling through time and space? This legendary thing, could it really be true? If it is indeed as I guessed, then everything can be explained. Orochimaru recalled, the dragon vein, the abnormal forest, and Uchiha Obito who should have died. If these are related to different time and space, then everything makes sense. Episode 64, Orochimaru the Scapegoat, Sarutobi Hiruzen's Test. The Uchiha Obito of our time and space died in the Battle of Kanobi Bridge. Orochimaru recalled the face he had seen through the Edo Tensei before, and said, and before he died, Uchiha Obito gave his Sharingan to Hitaki Kakashi. And the person I met before, if he is a descendant of Uchiha scattered in the ninja world, does that make sense? Opposite. Yukushi Kabuto was also thinking along the lines of Orochimaru. A powerful Uchiha, who opened the Mangekyo Sharingan and could master the Susanoo no Hei of the god calendar. If such a person is indeed from his own ninja world, then how could this person have no trace of existence? It obviously doesn't make sense. So, if that person is the Uchiha Obito of Otherworld. Yukushi Kabuto pushed his eyes on the bridge of his nose and said, in this way, he is still alive and has such a powerful strength, it is all possible. But what kind of world would that be? He recently did a detailed investigation on Uchiha Obito. Although he is a disciple of 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato, and is from the Uchiha clan. But Uchiha Obito's performance in the ninja school. It makes people doubt whether he is from the Uchiha clan, which is full of geniuses. In what kind of other world can a lowly person like Uchiha Obito have such powerful strength? This makes more sense. Orochimaru nodded, raised his lips slightly, and said, but it is too arbitrary to conclude that it is otherworld just like this. It needs to be combined with that strange forest. Yukushi Kabuto frowned, thought for a moment, and raised his head in doubt. Then, is it made by wood style? Using wood style, such a large sea of trees was created in the desert of Wind Country. What kind of strength is this? For the cells of First Hokage and wood style, no one in the current ninja world knows more than me. Orochimaru smiled complacently and said, even if you master wood style by transplanting First Hokage cells, it is impossible to use wood style to create such a large sea of trees in that desert. You mean, it's not wood style? Yukushi Kabuto felt confused again. No, it's wood style. Orochimaru shook his head and said flatly, what I mean is that it is impossible to perform such a wood style by transplanting First Hokage cells. In our ninja world, the only person who can achieve that level of wood style is First Hokage. In this world, only first generation can create such a large sea of trees in the desert. Yukushi Kabuto thought seriously and said, maybe some other world's wood style strongman comparable to First Hokage created that sea of trees? But, is there another possibility? In our ninja world, someone has reincarnated First Hokage Imperial world. Not bad. Orochimaru nodded with appreciation, looked at Yukushi Kabuto with satisfaction and said, Kabuto, your thinking is very comprehensive. It's all thanks to the guidance of Orochimaru-sama. Yukushi Kabuto bowed his head and said respectfully. So, now we need to try it. Orochimaru stood up and inserted the First Hokage cell tissue on the experimental table into the body of the sacrifice that Yukushi Kabuto had just brought. If I can summon the First Hokage through Imperial world reincarnation, it means that the second possibility you just mentioned is wrong. The sacrifice and cell tissue are already in place. Orochimaru skillfully performed the reanimation jutsu. The netherworld opened. An illusory soul possessed the young ninja. The knocked-out ninja woke up with a scream of pain, screaming, and paper scraps flew all over his body. Soon, the young ninja's appearance gradually changed. Long straight black hair, a red armor from the Sengoku era. First Hokage. The summoning was successful. Orochimaru looked at the blinking, dazed Senju Hashirama opposite him, and with a finger raised, he directly annihilated the First Hokage's consciousness. Phexus. Yukushi Kabuto's body trembled slightly, and a shocked look appeared on his face. The person before should indeed be the Uchiha Daiwang of Otherworld. Now, Lord Orochimaru has successfully summoned the First Hokage in the ninja world. Hokage was summoned. This means that the one who created the Sea of Trees at the ruins of the ancient city of Lulan was not someone who created the First Hokage Imperial world reincarnation in the ninja world. Therefore, use the process of elimination. The only possibility is the wood-style master from Otherworld. Orochimaru's expression suddenly became extremely ugly. The one who created that Sea of Trees is not just the wood-style strongman from Otherworld. I guess, maybe it's the First Hokage in the Imperial world reincarnation form of Otherworld. Yukushi Kabuto was stunned. How can this be guessed? And what's the expression on Lord Orochimaru's face? Why does he seem to be owed billions of money? Kabuto, I understand everything now. Orochimaru gritted his teeth. Even with his usual restraint, he couldn't help but get angry at this moment. Why are those bastards, BBDF, from the Akatsuki organization chasing us like crazy? He understood everything now. Before, he saw it in the Kazakage's office. Fourth Kazakage Raza, when he was still alive, arranged for his 3 children to explore the situation of the Dragon Vein. Among them, Raza's youngest son, Gaara, is the one-tailed Jinzuri of Sand Shinobi. And One Tail, the tailed beast, is the target of Akatsuki. The target of Akatsuki, the tailed beast. Yukushi Kabuto pondered these words, and his expression suddenly became very interesting. Could it be that someone in Akatsuki saw the first Hokage in the form of Impure World reincarnation, captured one-tailed Jinchuriki Gaara, and then they thought that the one who brought out the first Hokage Impure World reincarnation and also got involved in the tailed beast was Orochimaru-sama. So Akatsuki has been chasing Orochimaru like crazy recently. That must be it. Orochimaru was so angry that his teeth itched. Because of that Impure World first Hokage from Otherworld, the Akatsuki group put the blame on me. Damn it. He was confused by the Akatsuki's pursuit before. Now he really figured out the situation. Damn it. It turns out that he was blamed for the alien visitor from an unknown world. Impure World first Hokage from Otherworld Hokage captured Sunagakure's Jinchuriki, but it turned out that Orochimaru was the one who took the blame. Orochimaru was getting angrier and angrier as he thought about it. How many bases had been destroyed by those bastards of the Akatsuki organization during this period? The entire ninja world was almost left without a place to stay. And now it turns out that this was a complete misunderstanding. Orochimaru was so angry that he was shaking all over. He now understood Danzo's feelings. It felt terrible to take the blame for others. Those visitors from Otherworld, we can now confirm that there are at least 2 of them. Orochimaru tried to calm himself down and think calmly. Obito Uchiha of Otherworld, and the first Hokage of the Impure World, and he also captured one-tailed Jinchuriki Gaara. He was not sure if there were other people. FFFFLX. Yukushi Kabuto said in a daze, Lord Orochimaru, what should we do now? The visitors from Otherworld who came through the dragon veins, I don't know when they will go back. But now the black pot on their heads must be removed, right? Humph. Orochimaru snorted coldly, let them solve the Akatsuki's affairs themselves. As he said that, Orochimaru made a seal with his hands and summoned a little white snake. The little white snake opened its mouth and spit out a ring engraved with the word empty. This was what he took away when he defected from the Akatsuki organization. At the same time, Rain Shinobi Village. Inside the central tower. Tendo Pain's eyebrows moved. This movement, is it that a member of Akatsuki is contacting him through the ring? Is there any result in the hunt for Orochimaru? However, Tiandao Pain felt it carefully, trying to see which member was contacting him, but his face turned black as soon as he sensed it. Orochimaru? Tiandao Pain gritted his teeth and said, this bastard actually dared to contact me on his own initiative? This bastard, it's too long. When I catch him later, I must grind him to ashes. Thinking of this, Tiandao Pain still connected the communication of the ring. Konoha Village. Uzumaki Naruto's home. Naruto pulled his hair and wailed. On the table in front of him, there were a pile of books from Otherworld. Ideological and political textbooks, history textbooks, and ninjutsu principles textbooks from the Empire. These were all required by Black Kakashi and Menma to learn by Naruto. After learning about Naruto's situation in Konoha Village, Menma made up his mind. Go help this fellow in the ninja world and transform him. All-round transformation. In terms of thought, he can no longer be influenced by Ashura's will. In terms of strength, he also needs to help Naruto lay a solid foundation. In terms of understanding, he must at least be on par with the graduates of compulsory education in the Empire. Of these 3 aspects, the first 2 are basically handed over to Indra, who now lives in Naruto's body. Whether it is to eliminate the influence of Ashura's will or to teach Naruto to practice and lay a foundation for Naruto. Now it is mainly responsible for Indra. Menma and Kuro Kakashi are now mainly responsible for Naruto's cultural courses. And brainwash Naruto on a daily basis, so that Naruto gives up seeking the recognition of those idiot villagers. Why do I still need to learn this kind of thing? Naruto banged his head against the table in annoyance. What does this have to do with my training to improve my strength? Naruto, improve your knowledge reserves, this is also part of training. Kakashi leaned on the windowsill, holding a book of Intimate Paradise in his hand, reading leisurely. You can't even read a few books. Menma is still wearing Sasuke's face, and now he scolded Naruto unceremoniously, you don't have this patience, and you still want to bring Sasuke back from the Empire? Naruto was immediately frustrated. This guy. Can you stop looking like Sasuke again? However, seeing Menma scolding him with Sasuke's face like this, Naruto was suddenly inspired to fight. Isn't it just reading books to study? I don't believe I can't learn into it. However, soon, Naruto began to wail in annoyance again. Indra and Naruto couldn't help but sigh and shook his head. Naruto, this brat. Nine Tails lay in the giant red prison. It's the same as Ashura when he was a child. It still remembers that Ashura also had a hard time learning when he was a child. The reincarnation of Ashura's chakra may not be the same. Indra thought about it and said, maybe, like Namake's Menma, who was stripped of Ashura's will when he was a child, he will grow up completely differently now. As long as he can slowly use his own power to dissolve the influence of Ashura's will. Naruto, this child, should be able to change little by little. Suddenly. Outside world. Someone is coming. Kuro Kakashi frowned. Soon. In front of the window of Naruto's house. Umbu, wearing a black robe and an animal mask, knocked on the window gently. Hatake Kakashi, Uzumaki Naruto, Hokage, tell the two of you to go over now. After Umbu left. Kuro Kakashi and Menma looked at each other. They had prepared for this moment before. Naruto almost ran away on the street. He even scared Sarutobi Hiruzen's grandson to pee his pants. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki of Konoha had such an abnormal situation, and Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Hokage, must have figured out the situation. You didn't call me over. Menma turned his head to look at Naruto, and said directly to Indra in Naruto's body, Senior Indra, we will do what we discussed before. No problem. Naruto's body shook, and Indra took over the control of his body. Naruto, you can see later how the Hokage grandfather who you think is very good to you will behave next. At this moment. In the sealed space inside Naruto's body. After being excluded by Indra, Naruto's consciousness could only watch Indra begin to control his body. Damn it. Naruto couldn't help but clench his fists. This is my body. How can you do this? Before, these guys tried this. Let that guy called Indra directly control his body by force. Even if Naruto wanted to resist, he couldn't resist that Indra at all. What else? Do you have to face Sarutobi Hiruzen in person? Menma rolled his eyes. Based on your level, Sarutobi Hiruzen will probably find a lot of things wrong with you in just a few words. If Naruto were to speak himself, he would probably reveal the existence of these people soon. They also want to slowly guide Naruto to the dark side, guide Naruto to make a choice that truly belongs to his own will. We can't let others interfere with Naruto now. Let's go, Naruto. Kuro Kakashi closed the intimate paradise in his hand and said with a smile, look forward to how your third Hokage grandfather will care about you, soon. Hokage building. Kakashi, your previous mission repelled the attack of Mist Shinobi Momochi Zabuza. Sarutobi Hiruzen showed the mission record book in his hand to Kuro Kakashi and Naruto, and said with a gratified smile, I have adjusted this mission from C level to A level, and the village will also make up for the corresponding commission money. In addition, I heard that Naruto seemed to perform very well in this mission. Sarutobi Hiruzen said, looking at Naruto with an expectant look on his old face. Yes, third generation master. Kuro Kakashi said respectfully, I am embarrassed to say this. Because of my own negligence, I was controlled by Zabuza Momochi's water prison technique. It was Naruto and Sasuke who worked together and cooperated tacitly to successfully rescue me. 0909. Indra controlled Naruto and pretended to be Naruto's usual appearance. How about it, Grandpa Hokage? I am very powerful now. Opposite. Seeing Naruto's reaction. Sarutobi Hiruzen's frowned brows slightly relaxed a little. Really? Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled kindly. It seems that little Naruto, you are one step closer to the dream of Hokage. At the same time. In the sealed space. Sure enough, third Hokage grandpa is not a bad guy. Naruto looked excited and nodded repeatedly. I knew that all those messy things before were fake. What about deliberately concealing the identity of the son of a hero and stamping him with the identity of a demon fox? It's all just overthinking. Episode 65, Nine Tails' cool move, the Akatsuki organization preparing for a group fight. Naruto. Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly sighed, and said in a somewhat vicissitudes of life voice, do you know who your parents are? Naruto, controlled by Indra, lowered his head and said in a strange tone with a sense of grievance, the big fox in my body has told me that my father is the fourth Hokage who sealed it in my body. Seeing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded secretly. As expected. The seal of Nine Tails began to loosen a little. Now, Nine Tails seems to be able to have some conversations with Naruto. Just like the time when Ebisu reported to himself before. When Naruto is emotional, he will show signs of running away. It should be at this time that Nine Tails can pull Naruto's consciousness into the sealed space and communicate with Naruto. Originally, this was not a big deal. After all, the seal left by the fourth Hokage is generally very strong. Nine Tails couldn't break free of the seal after all. But Nine Tails actually told Naruto's life story directly. And, I don't know how they said it, but Naruto successfully believed it. Including the scarf of Naruto's mother that Konohamaru found before. That should also be told by Nine Tails to Naruto. In the Land of Waves, when we fought Momochi Zabuza and others for the second time. Black Kakashi on the side explained, we encountered some dangerous situations at that time, and Naruto burst out the power of Nine Tails at that time. It should be after that, Nine Tails and Naruto communicated something. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded secretly, looked at Naruto, sighed and said, alas, Naruto, I won't hide these from you now. Your father is indeed the fourth Hokage of Konoha, at this moment. Inside Naruto. In the sealed space. Here it comes. Nine Tails, who was lying in the giant prison, couldn't help but look up at this moment, and said with great interest, if Sarutobi Hiruzen's answer is the same as those guys guessed, it means he is lying to you. Hokage Grandpa can't lie to me. Naruto couldn't help but retort. That's what he said. But Naruto still concentrated and paid attention to the conversation outside. Your father, the fourth Hokage, is a rare genius in the entire history of Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face showed a nostalgic look, and said, thanks to him, Konoha was able to end the Third Ninja World War earlier. If it weren't for your father, Konoha would have suffered many more casualties. But it's also because of this that your father made too many enemies in the war in the past. If your life story is exposed, Naruto. Just like the reason Kakashi once said. Sarutobi Hiruzen repeated it again. Naruto, you may not know it. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed and said with a tired face, in order to protect your safety, I sent the elite of Umbu to secretly protect you every day before you graduated from the ninja school. The Umbu who is responsible for protecting you has suffered countless terrible attacks. Opposite. Naruto listened carefully. He showed a touch of emotion on his face. However, in the sealed space, the real Naruto's expression was a little dull at this moment. Grandpa Third Hokage, how come what he just said is the same as what those other world guys guessed? That Namikaze Menma said that if Grandpa Third Hokage said what he just said, it means he is lying to himself. Could it be that Grandpa Third Hokage is really lying to himself? Nine Tails looked at Naruto and couldn't help but burst into laughter. Little brat, what do you think? You still call me Grandpa Hokage. Now you finally understand it, right? Sarutobi Hiruzen, that bastard, doesn't tell a word of truth. No, impossible. Naruto held his head with both hands, looking unwilling to believe it. Humph. Nine Tails snorted coldly and didn't say anything more. However, secretly, a trace of chakra penetrated through the seal and passed to Naruto. Under the influence of this trace of Nine Tails chakra containing negative emotions such as malice and hatred, the originally weak negative emotions in Naruto's heart were amplified little by little. Outside world. Grandpa Hokage. Naruto looked down at the green scarf he was wearing around his neck, and said with a slightly tangled expression, I can probably understand what you said just now. But, this scarf knitted by my mother, why didn't you give it to me earlier? Seeing Naruto like this, Sarutobi Hiruzen was secretly happy in his heart. It seems that Naruto really listened to what I just said. I had prepared a long-awaited argument, but the one I used to deal with was just a 12-year-old child. In addition, I have spent so much time and effort over the years to get closer to Naruto. Now, the result is finally here. Even if Naruto knows his life story, he will still trust him as a Hokage. Naruto, I need to apologize to you for this. Sarutobi Hiruzen said seriously, these things are indeed my fault. I am usually busy with the work of the Hokage, and I even forgot such an important thing. 1. Alas, I am really incompetent as a Hokage. I failed to take good care of every villager. When you become a Hokage in the future, Naruto, you must not be like me. While speaking, Sarutobi Hiruzen also stood up from the Hokage seat, walked in front of Naruto, and pretended to apologize formally. Seeing this, Indra smiled in his heart, and then controlled Naruto's body as prepared to deal with Sarutobi Hiruzen. And in the sealed space. Naruto, how is it? Indra separated a wisp of consciousness and entered the sealed space. The content of Sarutobi Hiruzen's answer is the same as Namikaze Menma and the others guessed exactly the same. including the reasons given, the possible expressions when speaking, the order of speaking, and the possible actions. Those people had anticipated it in advance. So, what do you think now? Indra was actually a little unsure about Namake's Menma and Kuro Kakashi's previous speculations. Those two people predicted Sarutobi Hiruzen's possible reaction when he saw Naruto in too much detail. It was as if they could see the future. The result. Now, Sarutobi Hiruzen's performance is really just as those two people predicted. In all aspects, whether it is the reasons given or the way to get closer to each other, if it is really just dealing with Naruto alone, Naruto must be fooled and moved to a mess now. However, Naruto is not alone now. There are Namake's Menma and Kuro Kakashi, two people from the other world, standing behind him, and he and Nine Tails are still living in his body. It is impossible for Sarutobi Hiruzen's trick to work. Naruto lowered his head and kept muttering to himself, why is it like this? Third Hokage Grandpa, his performance is indeed the same as those people from the other world said. Could it be that Third has Grandpa Hokage really been lying to him all along, and is the mastermind behind his current situation? No. Nine Tails' loud voice reached Naruto's ears. If it weren't for us, you would have been deceived and cried bitterly based on Sarutobi Hiruzen's performance today. While speaking, Nine Tails continued to use his chakra to seduce Naruto's emotions. Watching Naruto gradually clench his fists and grit his teeth, Nine Tails felt happy. It had heard from Namake's Menma before. In this sealed space, it seems that the chakras of Namake's Minato and his wife are also sealed. It seems to be prepared for Naruto, the fool, to seize its chakra and master its power in the future. Maybe the couple see what is happening now. At the same time, even if they can see this, the little chakra they have left can't do anything. And if that's the case, if I secretly use chakra to seduce Naruto's negative emotions, wouldn't those two people also be able to see it, and they can only watch? When Nine Tails thought of this possibility, he felt excited like a fox. Fourth Hokage, that bastard. When you sealed me, did you think that your child would have this day? Now, you bastard, just watch me honestly and see how a group of people are guiding Naruto to the dark side little by little. On the finger of the ghetto statue, one after another, illusory shadows appeared alternately. Another meeting? Deidara spoke first. Do you know the exact location of Orochimaru? The Akatsuki organized a small team and the king to hunt Orochimaru together. They have hit many bases in a row. But they didn't even see Orochimaru's snakeskin. Tendo Pain was silent for a moment, shook his head and said, some abnormal situation has occurred. The previous information is wrong. The one who captured one-tailed Jinchuriki should not be Orochimaru. Before, Orochimaru contacted him through the Akatsuki ring. He told him a bunch of inexplicable nonsense speculations. At first, Tendo Pain thought Orochimaru was going crazy because of being hunted. He even came up with a reason like different time and space. As a result, listening to Orochimaru's words, Tendo Pain found that what he said seemed to make some sense. And he also asked Madara and Zetsu about this. The two people also felt that Orochimaru's speculation made some sense. So, the impure world first Hokage that Zetsu saw before should have come from another time and space. Tendo Pain explained, and Orochimaru also met a person who was suspected to be Uchiha Obito from another time and space near the Lulan Dragon Vein. After Orochimaru finished his speculation, all the people in the Akatsuki organization present were silent. What the hell? How can there be a different time and space? Isn't this really nonsense from Orochimaru? Hey, leader, Deidara had a black line on his face. Did you get something wrong? What is this speculation about different time and space? Why is it so unreliable? Regarding the Dragon Vein, the legend does have the power to disrupt time and space. Black Zetsu said in a low voice, the power of the Dragon Vein is too strong. It may bring people who do not belong to this time, or even this world, to this world. There are many such legends in the ninja world. In fact, this is not just a legend. Black Zetsu has seen such things in the past 1,000 years of history. So, after Pain finished speaking about Orochimaru's guess, Black Zetsu thought about it carefully and found that the truth might indeed be as Orochimaru guessed. So, we really made a mistake? Hashigaki Kisame felt absurd. We were chasing the wrong person before. Orochimaru was actually wronged? Recently, he and Itachi's team, Deidara and Scorpion's team, and Kakuzu Haiden's team were all chasing Orochimaru frantically. And now they found out that they were wrong? Although it is indeed possible that they were wrong, it is not an injustice. Tian Daopain shook his head and said coldly, Orochimaru is a traitor to the organization anyway, and chasing him is what we should do, but now the focus is not on what should be done. It should be placed in one-tailed Jinchuri Shinsei, so, should we go to the Dragon Vein now? Kakuzu's eyes flickered slightly. If the opponent is from Otherworld, I'm afraid I won't get any bounty at the underground gold exchange. The bounty doesn't matter. Deidara was slightly excited. That Uchiha Obito from Otherworld. Uchiha from another world, huh? What kind of strength is he? Hateful Uchiha. Before, when he joined the Akatsuki organization, he was fooled by that bastard Uchiha Itachi with an illusion. Now, maybe he can get back some ground from the Uchiha from another world in advance. Uchiha Obito. Uchiha Itachi frowned slightly and recalled, although he was the hero of the Battle of Cannobie Bridge, during the ninja school period, his grades were not very good. Not only not good. He was even the last one. That Uchiha Obito from another time and space is different. Tendo Pain shook his head, looked at Uchiha Itachi and said, according to Orochimaru, that Uchiha Obito has opened the Mangekyo Sharingan and has mastered the Uchiha clan's Susanoo. We can't take it lightly. Uchiha Itachi's face changed slightly. Even Susanoo is mastered? These people from different time and space really can't be underestimated. Mangekyo Sharingan. Kakuzu instantly became interested. Such a corpse can be sold for at least hundreds of millions in the underground exchange. Hey, old man Kakuzu, don't be older than me. Deidara shouted with some dissatisfaction, that Uchiha Obito, he is my opponent. Don't fight. Tendo Pain stopped him. Members of the organization nearby, now go to the Dragon Vein of the Wind Country as soon as possible. Those people from different time and space may be teleported back to their original time and space at any time. We must take one-tailed Jinchuriki back from them as soon as possible. Deidara and Scorpion, Kakuzu Haiden, 2 teams, responded. Kisame and I are a little far away now. Uchiha Itachi shook his head slightly and said, we are still in the land of fields, a distance away from the land of wind. 1*1*. Tendo Pain's eyes flickered slightly, then prepare 2 sacrifices and use the elephant technique when the time comes. Although the elephant technique can only have 30% of the chakra of the main body. But this can barely be regarded as sending out 6 members of the Akatsuki organization at one time. Even if they are dealing with visitors from another time and space, it should not be a problem. 3 teams of the Akatsuki organization are fighting together. Who else can be the opponent? This is a sure thing. The Kingdom of Wind. Under the ancient city of Lulan, the light of the dragon veins lit up. A moment later, 3 figures appeared from the endless light. Report to your majesty. A dark red-haired man replied to the watch on his hand. Rosa, Uchiha Itachi, and Hyuga Neji have successfully arrived at the number 1 ninja realm. Is this the Kingdom of Wind in Otherworld? Hyuga Neji immediately opened his Byakugan, and his vision went directly through the ruined ancient city of Lulan and the sea of trees covering this place, and saw the endless desert in the distance. It's really desolate. At the end of my Byakugan's vision, it's still a desert. With his current Byakugan pupil power, the end of his field of vision is dozens of kilometers away. But the surrounding area of dozens of kilometers is actually desert. It is covered with yellow sand and stretches as far as the eye can see. This is what the ninja world looks like before His Majesty has transformed the natural environment. Uchiha Itachi said calmly. Let's go. After Luo Sha reported to the Empire, he closed his eyes and sensed for a while, then walked towards a certain direction with a cold face. Obito and the others, as well as me in this ninja world, are waiting for us. He has roughly heard about what he has done in this ninja world.